Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cleverly Jones, and we're going to discuss episode 2 of Bad Surgeon Love Under the Knife. So, episode 2 begins with Benita. Benita is having a viewing party for her documentary. Bossy, he's the journalist in the documentary, and he's doing additional research on Paolo. After doing tons of research, Bossy becomes very skeptical of Paolo and his procedure and research methods. He gets in contact with Julia's mom, and Julia's mom also didn't trust Paolo. Julia's mother says that Paolo got missing after he performed the surgery on Julia. Initially, he stayed in contact with Julia, touched base with her every day, but after the procedure was performed, he no longer kept in contact with her. He kind of abandoned her at that point. Around this time, Paolo was a big deal in Russia. He was very high profile and considered one of Putin's pet projects. So we cut to a scene where Benita and Paolo go to California to visit Benita's brother. This is Benita's brother's first time meeting Paolo. He was initially impressed by Paolo. He felt Paolo loved his sister. Paolo attempts to impress Benita's brother by telling him these exaggerated stories. He even says he could have saved Princess Diana's life if he would have gotten to the accident on time. So we cut back to a scene with Callie. Callie always felt an awkward distance between him and Paolo. Paolo never allowed Callie to get close to him, even though they were on the same team together. Callie and Oscar considered Paolo to be a roaming surgeon. He really didn't have a home base and traveled a lot. So in 2015, Paolo takes over the wedding planning from Benita. He wants a Catholic wedding, but Benita didn't think they could have a Catholic wedding since they both have been divorced and Benita wasn't a Catholic. However, Paolo convinces Benita that he can get this done. He says he's treated the Pope personally, so he's been a doctor to the Pope, so he knows that the Pope will do this favor for him. He tells Benita that he has connections at the Vatican and that the Pope will perform their wedding ceremony, which to me is outlandish. But again, Benita was a fool for love at this point and she believed Paolo. Callie says the research team of doctors knew by 2013 that the procedures that were performed by Paolo weren't going well. All of the patients were having extreme complications from the surgery. So at this point, we're introduced to Yasmin. Yasmin has a damaged airway. Yasmin could have had a normal life with her issues. However, Paolo operated on her and she had major complications from the operation. Now, Paolo's first trial patient, and I'm just going to call him patient 1 because I can't properly pronounce his name, he had the same issues as Yasmin. Yasmin had to have 191 surgical procedures after she received a procedure from Paolo. Paolo caused so much damage to her airway that she basically had to have a surgery every day until she passed. So Paolo told Benita to keep their marriage a secret. And behind the scenes, he was still doing supposedly all the planning. Paolo was supposed to rent a castle for all the wedding guests to stay in. Now he was telling Benita that he was going to invite the Clintons and he was going to invite the Obamas and Putin. And Benita says, hey, I would love the Clintons to be there. I would love Obama to be there, but I don't want Putin at my wedding. But I'm still amazed that she really thought that Paolo had all of these connections. So she's still believing in him and all the lies that he is telling her. Paolo is very bold. He even invited Chris's family to the wedding. Now, before they get married, Paolo wants Benita to move with him to Barcelona. And he shows Benita every day, like video chats of his house and what it looks like and the scenery around his home, and says, hey, it would be, nice if you moved here. It's beautiful here. This is a major decision for Benita because not only would she have to quit her job at NBC, she would also have to take her daughter out of school and put her daughter in a whole new environment, a whole new country. So this would be quite the culture shock for both Benita and her daughter. So while this is going on, the doctors start to find more fault in Paolo's research. They notice that Paolo is missing the animal trials in his data. Instead of Paolo answering Callie, he told him it was none of his business. And at this point, Callie felt compelled to find out more about what was going on with Paolo's initial patients. So the journalist Bossy wants to make a documentary about Paolo. He obtains raw footage from Paolo's procedure that he performed on Julia. This footage was very revealing. The footage showed that Paolo knew that the plastic windpipe that he inserted was faulty, But instead of him stopping the procedure and not going through with Julia's operation, he continued on with the surgery knowing that the windpipe would eventually fail. Bossy equates Julia's operation as a lamb being sacrificed. And even after the surgery, when Julia wakes up, they have video of her saying that the prosthetic is bad, like she feels worse than what she, ever felt before. I don't know if they just thought maybe she felt bad because she just had major surgery, but she knew something wasn't right. So as I mentioned earlier, Chris's family, they were invited to the wedding. So his sister, she's very detail oriented, and she wanted to find out more details about where they would be staying and how the accommodations were. So she called the castle and she was told that we don't have any reservations for a wedding. We don't have any major events coming up. They had no idea what she was talking about. So the sister ended up contacting Benita to see, hey, what's going on? I'm trying to get more details. That's when Benita finds out that Paolo has been lying about the wedding plans. So we get to a scene where they show Kurlinskaya, and they say that Kurlinskaya is like a state within a state. It's the most expensive hospital in the world. So the doctors, Callie, Oscar, and Matthias, they risk getting fired in order to expose Paolo and his faulty procedure. The doctors find out that Paolo committed research fraud. They also found that he wasn't wrapping the windpipe in stem cells, and that the plastic windpipe was actually rotting inside of patients. They sent a report to the chancellor of the hospital, and they thought that by doing this, that he would take action and possibly Paolo would be fired, but none of this occurred. They didn't hear anything after they sent the report. Now, somehow the story got leaked to the media. Paolo is later accused of scientific misconduct. Paolo claimed people were jealous of him. However, these accusations made Paolo very upset and depressed. He was sad over the possible ramifications and what it would do to his career. However, Benita steps in to help him by giving him some media coaching and responding to the inquiries from the news article. After the article came out, the Kurlinskaya Hospital protected Paolo. They basically protected themselves by protecting him. They kind of covered his butt. And said that people were jealous of him, and that's how the allegations came about. The Kurlinskaya said he was not guilty of misconduct, and the Kurlinskaya went on to file a report against the doctors who made the initial report. Callie became a black sheep and went through some dark time. In May of 2015, after a spa day, Benita receives a message stating that the Pope will be in South America during the same dates as her wedding. She gets in touch with Paolo, and Paolo gives her an excuse saying that he just found this information out and to calm down, let him get in touch with the Vatican and he'll try to work things out. At this point, Benita starts to see her love life unraveling and starts to get the realization that Paolo just hasn't been the most honest guy. When Paolo finally gets to Benita's house, he's trying to calm her down. He's trying to give her excuses as to what's going on. And Benita slowly realizes that the relationship is unraveling, that Paolo's a liar. And the one thing that he said that made her think all this was that instead of him being a doctor as he claims, he says him being a doctor is just his cover story, but he's really a sniper for the CIA. So Paolo is just full of grand lies and tales. So this is where the episode ends. Please stay tuned for episode 3. See you soon.